Hello, everyone. My name is Prophetic Nurse, and I'd like to share a rapture dream that I had, I want to say February of 2020. So it's been over a year ago, and it was really before CV really hit like it did. Um, so in the dream that I had, I want to say it was like a vision slash dream. So now in real life, I was laying on the couch sleep. And in the dream, I saw myself on the couch sleep, and I saw my son in the kitchen. He was like, dancing to some music, just, nothing unusual. And then the scene switched to where I saw my sister who lives in another state. I saw her in her kitchen, and then I saw my mom, and then I saw my daughter. I was in another scene. I was in my childhood home where we grew up, which was my grandparents' house. And I seen my daughter, my middle daughter. She was 13 at the time. She's 14 now. She was in the basement. We grew up in the Midwest, so basements are common. I seen her in the basement, and she was just playing or talking on the phone, whatever she was doing. And then the scene switched again, and I came upstairs, and I was walking I believe, from the kitchen to the living room, and I was getting ready to go sit on the couch, and I was carrying. And I don't know what time of day it was. I wasn't sure at the time when all this was going on. So I was carrying my daughter, she was 3 at the time. She's 4 now. She had fell asleep. I was carrying her, and as soon as I sat on the couch, I the floor, like underneath my feet, I felt like a vibration. And I'm like, okay, my daughter's in the basement really making a lot of noise. And I was getting ready to, like yell, like, hey, what are you doing? You're making a lot of noise. And then the vibration on the floor under my feet got stronger and stronger. Like, I'm like, okay, she's not making this noise. Like, what is going on? So I'm sitting on the couch like, oh my goodness, is this an earthquake? Uh, and in the Midwest, we get more so tornadoes, but earthquakes, we've never had earthquakes as far, as long as I've lived. So I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this noise is just so loud. The next thing you know, I said, well, let me look out the window, and I noticed it was dark outside. Okay, so I figured in a dream it was nighttime. And I remember looking out the window, and the sky was, I don't know how to describe it. It was like an illumination. It was like a cloud that was bright white. And the next thing you know, I saw Jesus appear in the clouds. I mean, it was like, we all think of him as, of course he is loving, but he came through the clouds, like he bust through the clouds like it was huge. He had on all white. And I remember, like, literally in the dream, I had feelings, thoughts, I could talk, everything. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I remember I was holding my daughter who was asleep, and I started floating up in the air. And I remember crying in the dream, like, oh my goodness, this is really, really happening. Like, and this is like I said, my very first rapture dream. I've never had one. Like, I've heard people talk about them, but until I really got on YouTube, I'm like, I never know it was so many people having rapture dreams. And I know some people say, oh, the rapture isn't real. It has to be real. I've had 4 of them literally in the last year and some change. And the first one just literally blew my mind. And I just could not get over the fact that I had one. I wasn't praying for one or looking for one. It's just I had a rapture dream. And I remember, like I said, being lifted up off the ground literally while I'm holding my daughter. And I remember crying in the dream, like, oh my goodness, this is really, really happening. And this is something, my grandmother spoke about when I was a kid. It's like I always remember that she used to say that she didn't use the word rapture, but she did used to say, Jesus is coming back one day. You better make sure you're ready. And you don't, when you're a kid, you're like, okay, you think your grandparents or parents or whoever